Hi, it's Melvin here from the Econs Tutor. This is a very specific video to answer a query from a student because what this student pointed out was I suppose would probably not be unique to her because a number of students would probably realize that when you're asked to explain how externalities result in market failure, you tend to realize that the marking scheme is very prescriptive. What do I mean by prescriptive? You can almost see this as like a prescription, right, from a doctor. It means that you are supposed to include a list of items in your answer, and if you miss out any of these things, you're likely to be penalized. Okay, so it is true. When teachers mark, say, a student's explanation of market failure, what they really want to see is a very detailed explanation, and this is to show a student's complete understanding of the concepts, right? And this comes together, of course, with your diagram as well. So if the marking scheme is so prescriptive, how do you fulfill the requirements? Or more specifically, how do you remember the points to include? Okay, so at this point, I'll share with you this acronym that I developed. Okay, as mentioned, when you talk about externalities, the marking scheme is very, very detailed. I say here it's quite prescriptive. So I have a medical framework, okay, that students can refer to. Coincidentally, it's 7 steps, and I know some students are also asked to follow the 7 steps in school, right? So this is my interpretation. So if you're asked to explain how education, okay, is a form of market failure, okay, you first have to define market failure. I'm sure we can all do that, right? So market failure occurs when the unregulated market fails to allocate resources efficiently and equitably, so social welfare is not maximized. All right, so if this is done, you have to explain what is the externality here. So in the case of education, you could always say it results in a more productive workforce. This benefits all parties in the economy, regardless of whether they are beneficiaries or recipients of education. Okay, and more importantly, the spillover benefits are not accounted for under the price mechanism, which is why you result in underconsumption or in some cases underproduction of education. Okay, so the diagram will probably look like this: social benefit, social cost, sorry, private benefits. Now, if your school uses diverging lines, it's fine, okay, or converging lines in this case. So we'll indicate quantity of education, okay, and this is cost slash benefits, okay. So once you're done with the diagram, you have to identify each of the curves. By identification, I don't mean spelling them out in full, okay. You have to follow the context of the market, okay. So depending on which approach your school uses, in some schools they'll regard the MPC as the cost of producing education. All right, in some cases they'll see it as the cost of the school fees that the consumer has to pay. Marginal private benefit will refer to the better job prospects, all right, that the student can receive in future. But if you're looking at this from a production point of view, then it's probably the revenue, right, from providing education. Social benefits are higher than private benefits because we include the spillover benefits, which we explained in the second step. Okay, so after this is done, you have to say that the equilibrium level, because your producers, consumers, they all operate based on self-interest. All right, so equilibrium level is going to be here, but the socially efficient level is where the social curves intersect, and that's here. Okay, so you're going to result in a discrepancy, right, between the equilibrium level and the socially efficient level. So this results in under provision or under consumption, depending on which one you use, of healthcare, sorry, of education. All right, and there's a loss in social welfare. The loss triangle usually points towards QS. Okay, but you have to derive the triangle as well. So you need to say that, oh, the deadweight loss is given by the difference between your total social costs and the total social benefits. If you compare the two trapeziums, the shaded triangle is the difference in the area. So that's akin to your potential welfare gain that you could have received if you consume all the way until QS. Okay, so that's it. 7 steps to complete your explanation of externalities. Okay, but one word of caution: if you are doing this in a case study, usually case studies are not so detailed in requiring you to explain, say, why market failure occurs. Why? Because in the case study, the context is always king, right? The context is always the most important. So most likely you have to interlace your explanation with some citation from the extract, and because of that, the explanation may not have to be so detailed. Okay, for example, some students may find that they don't even need to define market failure, and whether you need to define externality separately or to build it into your explanation when you discuss each of the curves, that's also something you can consider, especially if time is short. Alright, so that's all I'm sharing today. Like I say, it's a very specific question, right? For more videos, please visit, okay, my website, that Econs Tutor, alright, .com. You see a lot more videos there. Or if you're interested, okay, to sign up for lessons, or if you have questions for me, just give me a call. Okay, this is Melvin here. Alright, thank you.